Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast that's all about that bass, no treble. uh,
Uh, oh, there's always going to be trouble.
yeah. I got Worrywart with me. Usually we do stuff. We have Kinsey or whatever, but she's busy. I was on vacation. Worry's been busy. So we just figured we'd get together today and talk a little bit about Destiny. What are some of your first impressions, real quick, of the game?
Destiny reminds me of a really hot girl I used to go out with. Nice to look at, fun for a couple of hours, and then it's time to move on. Not much going on upstairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Um, well, what's funny is this morning I was like, there's this compost heap, and I hit it with the, I hit it with a pressure washer, and I got shit water in my face, and I thought, hey, this reminds me of Destiny. So,
Oh
yeah,
man.
like we were playing it yesterday, me and you and Yomo Flow. So shout out Yomo Flow. Uh, and
Oh,
I thought that.
terrible, terrible.
Yeah, yeah. I thought, he has already beaten the game, and he said that the ending was terrible. We asked him not to spoil it,
Yeah.
but it. He just said that it wasn't very good. And then one thing that we both noticed was the level design is just really poor on the game. Like people are gonna say, "Hey, you guys are just hating on it." We were excited for the game. We bought it.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It's
Hey, it's 1080p.
right. I mean, God, it's got all the P's on both consoles. I guess it puts the 1080p thing to rest. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't, but to me it does. But the problem is it's the level design. If first off, the story is non-existent. I mean, it's there. I know that they spent time with it, but it doesn't drive it home enough for you to pay attention to what's going on. I have no idea, the motivation behind any of the aliens, why they're doing this, what's going on. I have no idea any backstory of my character. When you choose your characters, I mean, who are they? Where do they come from? Right? There's the robot race, there's the blue people race, and then there's the humans. It's just it feels like one big push towards multiplayer, even the single player. Plus, you're going through a level and you finish it in the single player, and then a couple minutes later into the story, you're back at that same level, but instead of turning left, you get to turn right now when the door opens. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then the repetitive enemies, it's like one enemy after another. It reminds me of the first Uncharted game. If you played that, those pirates kept coming, wave after wave after wave after wave, and you put your ghost, which was the name of the bike in Halo, which is now the name of your character who's supposed to be Cortana, I guess, that lives in your head.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, you got to put your ghost in there, and while he's taking his time to upload something or open a door, it's wave after wave after wave, and then a boss. It's the same thing. It's rinse and repeat over and over and over again.
Yeah, what's funny is I seen this somebody tweet to Bungie today. It's like it's a shame I paid $66 to press X and fight the same four enemies for 8 hours. Yeah, and what's funny is you're right. Like I didn't buy the game for multiplayer. I like the single player aspect of Halo more than the multiplayer.
Well, that's what I
I
was
was ex-
thinking. Crap.
Yeah, I was expecting a great single player experience with deep characters, or at least some characters, or some kind of story, and they didn't really do that. Like what you see for the beta is what you get. There's no real explanation. There's no nothing. You just are thrown out there. Your character has no personality, doesn't talk. It's completely unacceptable in my opinion, and it just goes to show you that hype doesn't always make for a good game.
You know what it is? I think if you're a fan of Bungie, you're a fan of what they did with Halo, you're kind of used to, like, Halo's a strange game where it's got a really good single player, and a lot of people that like single player buy it for that. Then it's got that multiplayer aspect, and a lot of people buy it just for the multiplayer, and then you got the people that buy it for everything. Me going into it, I'm like, okay, it's not Bungie per se that was the Bungie that made Halo, because most of those guys are 343, but there's still some people there. I was expecting this great single player story where I could take two people and go explore a world. It was going to be fleshed out really well. I was going to care about the characters. I was going to care about the story. And there'd be this really great multiplayer, which
Yeah.
I'm not really into multiplayer, but I know Bungie knows how to make a good multiplayer shooter. But instead, it felt like they were trying to make this giant game, and then all of a sudden, somebody kind of got nervous and sort of just said, like, let's fall back on the Halo mechanics a bit. I don't know what happened. It just doesn't feel. I read a tweet and somebody said the word soulless, and that's what it feels like. It feels like it's
Yeah,
being.
I mentioned that in my review, right? And the reason why I did a review was because people were like, okay, you don't have to give us a score, crappy, but maybe give us your thoughts. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do a two-part review. I'll do this now and give you my thoughts, and then when the raids and stuff come out, I'll give a score for the total package. And I said it's soulless. The characters have no soul. The game has no soul. We were playing the game yesterday, and we're all joking around and having a good time because it's a social experience. We're in a party chat,
Right.
laughing with each other. But we were like, "What's this cutscene about? Who cares?" Because the story doesn't make sense. There is no story. The characters don't make sense. So who cares? You know what I mean? It was like there was absolutely no story, and that was disappointing because that's the reason why I got the game. I'm not interested really in the multiplayer because I thought it stunk in the beta. It's very unbalanced and not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a story there, but I mean, the problem with it is there isn't that hook that you pay attention to it, that you know what's going on. I mean, because you go from like point A to point B, shoot everything, get to the end, stick your ghost in a terminal, he uploads something, you fight a wave, and then you move on to the next thing. And it's the same thing over and over again, so you sort of lose track of where the hell the story is because you keep doing the same thing over and over again. And when you have two people with it, first off, what in the world is why can't you have more than two people go with into the co-op? I mean, what that doesn't make any sense to me. It's you and then just two other people.
I
So,
have,
I
yeah, I
mean,
have
usually
no idea.
it's four, right? Usually it's four. So I mean, if you're on with two people and your friend hops on, then you gotta. It just I don't know. It just seems strange to me. I was expecting. I got caught up in the hype, but not. I'm too old for hype. I understand hype is usually bullshit, but it was Bungie, and I said, okay, there's going to be this attention to detail in the story. I know people hate Halo, but I'm a Halo fanatic. I know why the Covenant do what they do. I know all the different races of the Covenant. I know all their motivations because that was told to me in the story and it was paid attention to. And I expected that kind of detail in this game, and it's not there.
Yeah, I totally agree. The Covenant, they were deep characters. The Arbiter, Master Chief, Cortana, all these characters are well known. They have good stories. Especially Halo 4 did a good job with the story, in my opinion, in furthering the story. There's a lot of lore with Halo because there's an expanded universe, almost like Star Wars, you know.
Right, right.
Um, and so I was expecting something along those lines, this epic space opera, and it just hasn't been that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, they're
that's what
just
I that's what I expected. Like in Halo 2 in particular, when they had that where you sort of played the game from the Arbiter's point of view, and you saw how all the different races of aliens formed the Covenant, and they thought Master Chief was the demon, right? So they're
yeah.
they're on this religious journey, whereas on the Master Chief and the UNSC side, it's just this war to stop this fanatical group of aliens, and that's all fleshed out really well. And I thought that there was going to be this grand story that I could get into, that I could be excited for sequels, and I'm just not excited to play this anymore at all. Especially when Forza comes out, I'm done with it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I want to like kind of see it through. I want to see them implement their raids or whatever. But when Forza Horizon 2 comes out, and then the following month is Sunset Overdrive and a lot of other stuff like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Fable Legends beta and Killer Instinct Season 2 and stuff. So I'll be probably moving on rather quickly. Now, the question I want to ask you too is, what do you think about
Excuse
the
me.
lack of reviews? Because they sent out the game on Monday for reviews, turned on the servers on Monday.
Yeah.
We heard IGN beat it, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, and here it is Friday, and there's no reviews other than there's three big sites have reviewed it: Polygon, uh, Giant Bomb, and the Escapist magazine. Actually, Jim Sterling, who was a big douchebag, but all three of those places gave it 6 out of 10, which is pretty average.
Well, those
Um,
places still took 3 days to review it.
yeah,
Right. I mean, they're not doing the whole IGN thing where it's like every day we're going to do a little bit more. You know what it is? Here's what you do. Here's what I do. Right. So I'm not, being just hypocritical. Imagine when Halo 5 comes out. Right. There's a deep single player story, and there's multiplayer. They're like two different games. They've always been that way in Halo. Imagine if Microsoft said, "Don't review the game until 2 weeks later." Where would we be right now?
Oh, you know what? It'd be crazy because they did that with Rise, actually. They put the embargo up like the day before, sent out copies the day before, and then that you
Right.
better believe that review was up exactly on that Tuesday, though,
But
right
you
when
know
the
what?
embargo was up.
Yeah, but you know what the common theme with that is when developers do that with a game, it's telling you that even they know there's an issue,
Yeah.
and they want those initial sales before word of mouth starts. They want those initial sales, and they got it. They recouped $500 million in a day, I think. So
Yeah. When you spend $500 million, obviously you want to try to recoup that.
what the hell did they
Um,
spend $500 million on? Though? That's what I'm trying
I
to figure.
think I think they spent it on servers. I think it's the whole thing, like the advertising. Supposedly they spent $100 million on advertising alone.
I could believe that, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
and these are Bungie servers, right?
yeah, they're bunch, but I believe that Activision still has to pay for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that that's the case where it's the whole everything. And the thing with the reviews or the lack of reviews, okay, I feel like you suckered me one time. I'm gonna hold off until the reviews come out and there's a consensus next time, because I felt like the last gen consoles held back the game a bit, but I feel like it could be something good. But unless they want to go more into a more depth of a story, I'm
Yeah.
not really interested
Yeah, you know
in
what?
a
I mean,
sequel.
yeah, the last gen consoles. I mean, they may have held it back graphically. I don't think so because the game's beautiful. I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe not graphically, but the frames per second,
could be,
possibly.
but I mean the whole thing with story and pacing and level design that's not last gen because we had great games with great stories and great level design last gen too. I don't know what happened. I think the idea was so large, and I think they just sort of maybe got scared. It was too big and pulled back a bit because there are some places where, I mean, when you're riding that bike, that feels like you're riding a ghost in Halo. You know,
Yeah.
it even sounds the same. I mean, your little AI buddy is called a ghost instead of a bike. It's just there's a lot of nods to Halo in it, but I don't think it does enough to be different.
Yeah, if anyone was like, but I would say this though, it looks a little bit like Halo, and there's obviously some nods to Halo, but it plays a lot differently than Halo.
Yeah,
Halo to me is a good multiplayer and a great single player.
right.
And they were doing four-player co-op on Halo 3 and 4 last gen. The three-player thing blows my mind because, you
Yeah,
know,
like what's the thinking behind that? I don't understand. Like it's almost like they were just trying to be different when they said, most games are four-player co-op. Let's do three. Why?
yeah, I have no idea. Why not? Like, what's it matter that there's only three different classes? Because not everybody's being, I think last night me and you were the same class, or maybe me and Yomo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've played it where all three people were the same class, so it didn't matter that there's three different classes because people are going to double up on them sometimes anyway.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, and the respawning enemies thing reminded me a lot of Call of Duty 4, and then they fixed
Right.
that for the ones after.
Yeah, that's
Um, that's poor. That's poor design. Where you just have respawning enemies. I mean, it took us an hour to beat that boss last night, and it was like because of respawning enemies. You know what I'm saying? It's just like one of those things that's almost bush league.
yeah, and you
For
know
for
what?
a team like Destiny or Bungie.
You could hide back in a hallway and let them all funnel in and shoot them as they come through a door. You know what I mean? Or you could position yourself behind a pillar. It's just I don't know what happened. I really don't. I'm disappointed. I mean, it's not obviously it's not going to be a failure because it's on four systems. It's on
Yeah.
PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4. Eventually, it'll be on PC. But they hyped it up. Where's this sense of exploration that they talked about? You and your friends can explore the world. We're not
Yeah, they give you a ship, right? But it's just a cutscene.
right, and we're not exploring anything. It's a cutscene, and then all of a sudden we materialize, and we got to go from point A to point B, fight waves of enemies, and then the mission's over. What are we exploring together? What are we finding out together? Where's the story when we're exploring? Where is it?
There, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. Like you said, we went through the level one time and turned left, and then when you go through it again on the strike mission, you turn right.
Right. Oh, your ghost opens the door now. There was a door there before. Now you can go
Yeah,
left instead of
it,
right.
it reminds me a bit of the earlier mechanics of Gears of War One. Guard Jack while he rips the door.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
hey, guard Jack while he rips the door, and then that was 2006 though, guys. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Back then it was kind of new, right? Oh, cool. A wave of
Yeah.
energy, wave after wave. Even then it wasn't new, but it wasn't as old as it is now.
And the wave stopped. You killed a certain amount, and then it stopped.
Yeah.
Here we are, 2014, the most expensive game ever made, when all said and done, and the game has infinite respawning enemies, server issues, no story, no characters. There's no lobby system.
Yeah, and you know what? This idea that it's not just a game; it's a massive online thing, so you can't really review it. You have to wait like what, a month or 2 months or 3 months. I mean, how long did it take for them to review World of Warcraft?
I don't think it took this long,
Did it?
and no. And what's really funny is I played a console shooter, and I've mentioned this game a lot. Not a lot of people know about it, but Defiance on the 360 and PlayStation 3, and it's on
Yeah.
PC.
Yeah.
They reviewed that in time, and that's an actual third-person shooter MMO, kind of what I thought Destiny would be like. But I have to say, I actually enjoyed Defiance more because it actually had story, and it tied in with the TV show a bit and things like that. Whereas Destiny has this lame, I don't even know. It's not even a story. You can't
You know,
even call it that.
you know what's scary, and this is just my opinion. $500 million, right? If you download Warframe right now, right? The gameplay is almost 100% similar, and you know more about what's going on in the story of Warframe by playing the game than you do Destiny.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because I trash I trash free to play a lot, right?
Right.
But I will say this: there's been a couple instances where like World of Tanks was actually okay on 360, and if people want to consider Killer Instinct free to play, where I don't, and I paid for it, you know what I'm saying? So you get the whole game, but you can just get the free character or whatever each month or whatever it is and play it, and it's good. Warframe, what a little I've played of it, is actually pretty decent. I like it.
I mean,
It's not bad.
the gameplay mechanics are almost identical.
Yeah, and you can actually you fly that ship a little bit at the beginning. Like that's more than you do in Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, your ship's the hub. You go
Yeah.
there, upgrade. You start a level. You go from point A to point B to point C. You fight waves of enemies, and then you complete an objective, and then you go on to the next. But at least the story is interjected in between, and you know what's going on. You know who the characters are. You know who you're fighting. You know what their motivation is. That's scary. And this is, the first big AAA game that people are talking about this generation. And don't get me wrong, it is a huge game. It's beautiful. I can't take that away from it. Graphically, it's a beautiful game. The fact that it's as large as it is and as detailed as it is, and it's 1080p on the Xbox One
Yeah.
should tell people something about future games.
Hey, Digital Foundry said there's no difference. And you know what's
Yeah.
funny was IGN tweeted out, here's the comparison picture between the 360, Xbox One, PS3, and PS4. They tweeted that out today. And I responded, I'm like, oh, great to see where your priorities are. Now how about getting your review of the game up? You know what I mean? Here we are Friday. Destin Legary beat the game on, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Look, anybody who, I mean, I don't begrudge people they want to go to IGN. That's fine. I'm a different person. I don't go there. Period. But you at some point the light has to go on, and you have to say to yourself, like, this is a huge game, and that's a huge site. Where the hell's the review? And if it's not there, why isn't it there? Think of the reasons why it's not there. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll figure it out, and you should go somewhere else to get your news.
Yeah, I just think, you know what, I mentioned IGN because a lot of gamers aren't in the know like how we are, that they're not exactly the most reliable. None of these sites really are. There's so much going on, and a lot of people don't even know about this Gamergate stuff and about taking favors and money for favorable reviews and
Yeah.
opinion pieces and things like that. So obviously, anybody that thinks that we're conspiracy theorists about this, just look at the Apple iPhone, right? $1,000, and companies are praising it. Um,
Well, that's without a contract, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. they're like, oh, it's great. Time Magazine puts Apple's wearable stuff on there saying how great it is to be always connected online, right? I mean, yeah, the hate is real,
You
the
know what's great
bias
though?
is real.
The same people that champion these sites as being great, and also there's a lot of sites like not just IGN. They're the same people that get mad at like YouTubers for giving them review scores. Like, you're biased. How could you give that review score? You shouldn't be mad at people who don't get paid to give an opinion. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that shouldn't bother you that somebody's on YouTube shouting nonsense. What should bother you is that these big sites that represent gaming are doing the same thing. That's what should bother you.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like people will come to me and my channel, and my channel is like I do it. It's like entertainment, right? And they're like, how come you're so biased, or how come you do this? And I'm like, you don't have to watch. And they're like, you talk about IGN being biased, but then you're biased. And I'm like, well, I'm not a paid journalist. I'm not paid to be covering the entire industry. And then I could understand a complaint.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, YouTube is opinion. YouTube is a lot of passion, but you know, professional sites. And this is just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Professional sites aren't supposed to be that. I don't want to hear somebody's biased opinion of something. Just tell me. I mean, you get the people who scream, "Oh, all reviews are opinions. All reviews are opinions." That's fine, but they're not supposed to have emotion and bias in them, and
yeah,
they're clearly there with most sites.
Yeah, I agree completely. And like when Polygon put theirs out today, a lot of people think they're biased towards Microsoft.
Yeah,
And that's what I heard. And then you find out that the only other two that are decently respected places gave it the same exact review score,
right.
including Giant Bomb, who actually, tend to favor Sony stuff. It's not, a lot of people thought that with me. They're like, you're trashing it because it's
Bungie, right?
yeah, and that's not the case. I was excited because Bungie got to do their new thing. I was going to get to play it. Plus, I still get to play Halo. So
Right.
I get the best of both worlds and was happy about it. I waited. I got the midnight launch thing. I was excited for it. I'm just let down. I would have to say, so far this generation,
Yeah.
this is the biggest disappointment for me. I don't know if it's the worst game I played off the new consoles, but it's the biggest disappointment as far as big AAA releases. What about you?
As the generation for me is disappointing, but not because of the games, because of you know the whole nonsense that goes on in relation to what we're talking about. And what's interesting about people are disappointed, or Destiny. You want Destiny to fail because it's Bungie, and Bungie isn't on Xbox no more. These are the same people who want Sunset Overdrive to fail because Insomniac, for some reason, they don't understand that game developers want to make games for everyone. They want as many people as possible to play their games. You know,
Yeah,
you can't just disconnect and say one thing is bad and then go do the same thing on the opposite hand. And that's what people do now. But again, that's YouTube and that's people on the internet. I don't want that to happen to real sites. I mean, it's almost like gaming is politics now.
Oh, it's definitely politics. I mean, you've seen it. A lot of people. I haven't had a time to really explain this much, but you've seen like how absolutely diluted some of these fanboys can be over YouTube entertainers, right? Like there was that ISIS beheading, right?
No, I
With,
don't even
with,
want to talk about it. I don't even
well,
want to talk about
just real quick, I
it.
wanted to hit on
I'm
it,
not
which
doing it.
but I'll explain to the fans that maybe don't know,
All right, go ahead. I'll be quiet.
well, basically, what happens was I get a lot of back and forth on Twitter with Sony fans. Obviously they don't like me for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm a nice guy, but so they took the picture of the American journalist who got beheaded by these terrorist organization ISIS, and they photoshopped my head on the guy. Right? That is the type of mentality that is associated with PlayStation fanboys. To me, that's what I think of. That didn't surprise me. I know it kind of surprised and shocked you. I'm used to that because that's the fan base to me. Which is sad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not like identifying one group of fans over another. I'm
Yeah,
just.
I agree. I mean, there's bad ones on both sides. I've blocked some Xbox fanboys because
But
they say stupid shit.
I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of stuff, like, that's where we are now. Like, how did you get there? And I understand people are going to say, well, well, this guy does a channel and he does the same thing. You know, it, it's really not the same thing. It's not. Entertainment, saying stuff, to get people riled up. You should be old enough to realize that you could turn the channel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like what's on the radio, turn the channel.
Y-
If something is, I'm not going to run out and buy something just because everybody else is buying it. Justin Bieber sells millions of records. I'll never buy one. Period.
Yeah, exactly. And
If
you
you
know what was really
don't
funny?
like what's on television, turn the channel.
What's really funny to me is the people that go, they'll leave me a comment. I don't like your channel. I'm not going to watch anymore. I always think that that's like the stupidest thing because say you don't like a restaurant, are you going to go into that restaurant and announce to everybody, I don't like your restaurant. I'm never eating here. It's like the stupidest, most redundant thing you could do.
People do that though online. You ever go online and look at reviews for like restaurants and people
Do
type
that? I
in,
mean, yeah. I mean, it's just
horrible. I'm never coming here again. And then the next week the same person's there. Oh, I ate there last week. It was terrible. Why are you
yeah.
eating again?
Exactly. I mean, look, my channel isn't for everybody,
Yeah, but,
but
but but listen, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
go
But
ahead.
that's YouTube. You know, everyone does that stuff. The problem is when you get that in professional sites.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like I don't expect, like, if all of a sudden Polygon hired you, crap, to do reviews of Microsoft stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? There might be a little conflict of interest there,
Oh, there definitely would. It
right?
would be like it'd be like Colin Moriarty doing PlayStation
Right. I
reviews
mean,
for IGN.
come on. And I like if you're passionate about, there's nothing wrong with being passionate about a game system because people have memories when they're growing up. They play with friends, they play with their family, blah blah blah. But when you have people like that and they're telling you that this is the way I am, and by the way, stay tuned next week for my review of the exclusive game on console X or console Y, I could pretty much guarantee you that it's not going to get a bad score. I could also pretty much guarantee you I'm not going to get much information into how good or bad the game is from that person. That's the problem. Like YouTube is becoming, I'm sorry, like legitimate sites, all of them are becoming like these giant fanboy sites where if you like PlayStation, you go to one site. If you like Xbox, you go to another site. It's almost like the Democrat and the Republican Party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go here if you're a Democrat, and you go here if you're a Republican. It's like, like if you like Republicans, watch Fox News. If you like Democrats, watch CNN.
You know what? And it's a shame because I remember I used to like GameSpot and IGN years ago,
Oh, I love.
just
Yeah,
because you could get a fair review. They didn't really favor one console over the other, as far as I could tell. They would bash one just as quick as the other.
yeah.
And now IGN is the last one that'll report anything negative on Sony or whatever. And I realize a lot of that has to do with if you want to get a lot of people to view things, then the best way to do that is to hate on Microsoft or talk about resolution or
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
graphics comparison, and I get that. But for me personally, I'm a YouTube entertainer. They're paid journalists, like you said. They should have a standard above. Well, I mean, journalism. They have a code of ethics. You know, YouTubers don't really have to have that. You know what I'm saying? So I think, as far as I'm concerned, that's the difference. And the funny thing is, the PlayStation fanboys. Just I know you don't really have an opinion on this, but the people that hate on me for what I do, being pro Microsoft, love their best friends or these other channels that do the same thing I do,
Oh,
but
yeah. I
for
mean, yeah.
their console of choice.
No, I mean, I see that all the time. I mean, people,
Yeah.
people will talk to me. I don't understand. Like just last week, I changed my picture on Twitter. I was talking to somebody. They were joking with me about the Apple release because I said, oh, I'm kind of like an Apple fan, and they were like, oh, you're a sheep, I sheep, whatever. And then we were laughing. We were laughing about it, and I had said, well, I swear I like Xbox, but I might have to get the iPhone. So I changed my picture on Twitter just as a joke with this person. And like a day later, people are like, why did you put an Xbox symbol on your Twitter page? I can't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. But these are the same people who have these friends who do the exact same thing that like hardcore Xbox people do. But if they don't have a problem with it when they do it. Like you can't have it both ways. If somebody doesn't like what you do and then they tell you about it constantly all day long, and then when you go to their friends list, It's people who do the same thing, but for the piece of plastic that they love, it makes no sense. But that's what you expect with stuff like this because it's all opinion. But when that stuff starts permeating into legitimate game sites, then it's over. It's done.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I always found that kind of funny that the people that hate on me have friends or go or frequent sites that do the same thing, but for Sony or Nintendo or PC or whatever the case may be. They just don't like me doing what I do because it's pro Microsoft and they think that Microsoft sucks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? When it's just actually all opinion, their opinion, my opinion. And
Exactly.
a lot of people will consider things that I do, oh, he's quote unquote lying, and I'm like, you realize that I have this whole thing called Crappy Opinion. That's a playlist I have, right? It's
I
called
mean,
Crappy Opinion,
you're
and I
called
put
you're called the crap gamer for God's sake.
exactly. And so I will put opinion pieces in this playlist, and people are like, well, you're lying about this, and I'm like, no, it's opinion. It's my opinion. How can I lie about my own opinion? You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I've noticed that people try to do on YouTube is they try to bring you down by and when they do this, they've truly failed. When people I have a message and it is a pro Xbox message, and the reason is because there's so much FUD and so much hate and there's so much misinformation out there that it's just a terrible console. It can't do 1080. You don't believe how many people still don't realize you can play offline, that it does do 1080p. In fact, most of its games are 1080p. That you can share games and use used games. There's still people out there that don't know this. And so what happens is if I bring a pro Xbox message or if I call Sony out for something, people like to attack me personally instead of the message. When they attack the messenger and not the message, you've won because they know that you're right. They have no response to that. Their response is to attack me personally. Hey, you fat ass, blah,
You
blah,
know,
blah.
just
You know what I mean?
just to sort of bring this all back and tie it back into Destiny. If people had the same amount of passion that they do to call out things that they call out opinions as lies and I don't like this. If they had the same passion and they did that for actual legitimate gaming sites, we wouldn't have these things like Gamergate happening. You know, those things
Yeah.
wouldn't happen if people actually said, "Hey, this isn't good enough. I don't want biased opinion. I'll get that on YouTube. I'll go to channels that I think are pro whatever I like because look, like minds, they clump together. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
you're, you're always going to seek out things that you like. Like if I like the Xbox, I'm going to go talk to Xbox with Xbox people, and you do that on YouTube. But if I want gaming news, where do I go? Well, I got to pick a site that gives me what I think is okay news, and then somebody else might say, well, that site's pro that. I'm going to go to this site. That's when there's an issue. If you had as much passion to call out these sites for doing what they do, then you wouldn't have to wait a month and a half for a review of a game.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that that Bungie themselves tweeted out today that they said it's a shame that some Destiny reviews came out before XUR, our first events, and the raids turned on. We're just getting started. The game came out Tuesday. It's Friday. How long do these people expect us to wait for reviews? And as far as I'm concerned, I bought the game. You bought the game. A lot of people bought the game. And that's great. You
I
know what
bought
I'm
it
saying?
twice. I bought
Yeah,
it twice for God's sake.
yeah, you did. Sucker. They
I
got a
bought
lot
it
of
on
money
my
from
I
you.
bought it on my PlayStation 4 and my Xbox One.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it might not affect the sales of this first game, but do you think the slow reviews, if they try to pull that again, might affect sales of the second game? Or you know what I'm saying? I think that could be the case.
I think it's going to affect the sales of this game. I think that I honestly think that the reason why you don't get reviews right away from sites, from real sites. I'm not talking about, the YouTube stuff. I'm talking about gaming sites. The reason why you don't get these reviews right away, whenever you see a game that's huge, I mean, a huge game, and oh, this is going to be our day two coverage. We're not really sure right now what we think about it. Hold on, we're going to do day three, and tomorrow we promise we'll give you the review. And then tomorrow comes around and says, well, this is day four. Then there's a problem. The issue is they don't want to give their score because They want the game to sell as many copies as possible before those sixes come out, because the people on the fence for the holidays are not going to pick up Destiny and Metacritic is awful, but tons of people use that for some reason, and so do
Yeah.
developers. You see those deals where, hey, if you get us a Metacritic of 80 or above, there's a bonus for you.
Yeah.
Um, People aren't going to do that. People aren't going to buy that when they see a Metacritic of 72 for a game and there's constant negative talk. That's why it's taken so long for these quote unquote legitimate gaming sites to give you their review of Destiny. And it's a multi-platform game, so there shouldn't be this issue. It shouldn't be that, oh, it's an exclusive game and we're in bed with the company. This is a developer with a lot of money that's using its influence to basically screw us over.
Yeah, I mean they are. It's not a. It shouldn't be a Sony thing or Microsoft thing or anybody thing because it is multi-platform. I can't recall a game that has released that's taken this long to get reviews out.
Yeah, and
I
just and
understand.
just to be fair, I don't think it's a 6. I mean, I would give it a solid 7.5, and I would stretch it to an 8. You know what I mean? But the fact that there's no review yet from like the biggest sites that people gravitate towards and have their little clicks in and yell beyond every time they go on, there's no review. There should be a
Yeah.
review. I'm sorry.
Um, well, I just think that it's a little bit odd that there's so few reviews. I mean, and it's obviously about to hit the weekend, so we're not going to really see any kind of situation where they're probably not going to put out any reviews over the weekend, right?
I doubt it. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you anymore, to be honest with you. I don't know where to go to get a review. I don't know what they're doing. Um, Honestly, I don't know any sites. I do like Giant Bomb and Penny Arcade. You ever go to Penny Arcade?
Yeah, I've used both before. Giant.
They don't actually give review scores. Penny Arcade. They don't give a number to the game.
Yeah, some people do that. I thought about doing that, but a lot of people were like, "Well, do you think it's worth buying or whatever?" And it's like, well, so I started doing
Yeah.
reviews or whatever, but based on the score. And actually, with my Destiny review that I'm going to finish up in a week or so, I'm changing it from 1 to 5, from 1 to 10, so it's a little bit easier to understand. And the way I try to review games is anything 1 to 5 means that there's something mechanically broken with the game. There's a lot
Right.
of issues. Anything like 6 to 7, I would consider average. And obviously anything 8 and above would be good to great. Nowadays people think that a 7 is the most awful thing or whatever. I don't think that's the case. I think that it's average.
Yeah. You know what? I've played plenty of 6 and 7 games that I've loved that I thought were 8s and 9s. See, that's the thing where people always throw this. Well, it's an opinion at you. Okay, but professional video game people, right? We all know. I'm old. I know what a shooter is supposed to feel like. Apart from being biased and telling you like I love Halo, I'll never give Halo a bad score. I say that all the time. I'm a Halo fanatic, but I know what a shooter basically is supposed to feel like. It doesn't take a lot for me to tell you that when enemies respawn over and over and over again, that's an issue. That's not bias. That's fact. It shouldn't take that long for a reviewer to tell you that. Just like Rise, how quickly do we find out that the combat was repetitive?
Yeah.
We found out very quickly, and we should have found out very quickly.
Yeah, I agree, and
But
I think that it was repetitive, and what saved that game. I mean, that was one of those games that had a couple of good things going for it, which was graphics and
yeah,
story. I thought,
story was
whereas yeah, Destiny has, I guess, graphics and I don't
that's it.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could be. It could be like it's hard to put your finger on it. Besides just saying that it's kind of soulless and a disappointment. It gets so hyped up, and I mean, I was hyped up for Titanfall, and I thought that that game was really good. Maybe not as good as a lot of people were hyping up to be, but at least it was. It was what it was because
yeah,
they said it's an online shooter, and that's what it was.
but you know what though? The good thing about Titanfall is that there were people who recognized hype, right? And they
Yeah.
recognized it, and they said, hype is not good. Don't believe the hype. But nobody's doing that for this game. You know, hype. Whenever something's hyped up to be, I mean, there's so much marketing behind it. There's so much advertisement. You're going to explore with your friends. All this stuff. Everybody realized that was going on with Titanfall, and they said, "Well, brace yourself. It might be a disappointment." Here, we're still waiting for reviews. Why? Where's the disconnect? Like I'm saying, you can't even say that this is a first-party thing because it's a third-party game. This is just a giant developer with lots of money that needs to make its money back. I put a tweet out: a multi-million-dollar game can and will never be allowed to fail, and that's what's happening with Destiny.
Yeah, it's funny. Oh, you know what's funny is I just seen this tweet come across from WB Games. It says, "Disappointed by recent blockbuster games? Check out Shadow of Mordor and the innovative Nemesis system." So I think that, hey, these games companies are taking jabs at each other. And you know what? I think one thing is this that might actually hurt Activision because they have Call of Duty and Destiny. Destiny hype has completely overshadowed Call of Duty. Um, I'm sure Call of Duty will still do well, but I think this could be the case where this year's Call of Duty might actually be better than Destiny. It could have a better story. I'm one of the people that like the little 6-hour campaigns on Call of Duty. Like I feel like it's a summer movie.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like
there's a lot of
a Michael
action.
Bay film. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of act for what it is. You know what I'm saying? They're good. At least you get more character exposition and growth than you do in Destiny. You know what I mean? Like I have never seen a game just have such, and there's not even chapters to the game. It's just do this, put your ghost in, fight off the same enemies, up, you're done. Move on to the next thing. You know, it's like literally the same thing over and over again. I'm not really sure what they were thinking. Like I said, I've played a lot of games so far this generation, and that might be the biggest disappointment as far as AAA games goes because, yeah, there's indie games that have sucked and I haven't liked. But as far as AAA games goes, this might be, and I'm trying to think, this might be the worst one that I've played so far. Everything else that I played I've enjoyed uh, better.
Yeah,
You know,
hype is a bad thing, man. Like the whole. That's why, like with first-party games, if you ever notice, like as soon as like a first-party game is announced, people are like, "Oh, it's the best game ever," right?
yeah,
That's the worst thing you can do, because you put unfair pressure on the developer that's making the game, and you make unrealistic expectations, and then the game comes out, and games like that always disappoint. You can't live up to that. That's one of the big issues I have with first party for Xbox, first party for Sony. When they announce a first party game, great. Let's wait. Let's get news on it. Be excited, but it doesn't have to be the best game ever created because
yeah,
it's you can't live up to that. And you're seeing that. And I hate to bring this up, but you're seeing that with The Order, right? The Order. They showed The Order. Oh my God, the best game ever, best graphics ever. It's going to be the best game ever. And the developers, had to take a step back and like, oh, take it easy, give us some room to breathe, This is
yeah.
our first game. I mean, they made handheld games. I think it's Ready at Dawn, right?
Yeah, they made some good God of War games on the
Exactly,
PSP.
right. This
Yeah,
is their first big AAA console game, and I mean, as soon as they announce it, best game ever, best game ever, best game ever.
yeah.
Give them a chance, for God's sake. They can't live up to that.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of things, and I think the reason why people are like best game ever, as far not to really hate on the PlayStation or whatever, because the game
Not
does
you,
look
not
good.
you.
But yeah, not me. But it's because there wasn't a lot of other games like AAA blockbuster titles or new experience so far on the PS4. It's been a lot of stuff that was sequels to PS3 stuff. It was like Infamous, another Killzone, Baseball.
Yeah.
Another Little Big Planet. So there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff. Although you seem to enjoy the Infamous Second the Light or that DLC or whatever it was.
Yeah, I liked it much better than the. I liked it much better than the main game, Second Son. I just
Yeah, it
like
looks
the power.
good. You were tweeting out some
Photos.
pictures. I think graphically the game looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks a little better than the Second Son game. I guess because they've had time with the engine. I guess you know how that works.
Yeah, yeah. The longer you have, the more polished it can be.
But again, it's like they paid the character, and this is just to me. I mean, some people were tweeting me that the main character in Infamous Delson, he's the best character. Blah, blah. Okay, for me, the female character in the game, Fetch, her name is. There's much more going on in terms of who she is and like the motivations. That's what I pay attention to. They seem to really nail it with the DLC. Whereas again, like I thought when they announced, Infamous, best game ever, best game ever, best game ever, and there's that pressure to get the game out and to make it good. And when you have time to just relax usually DLC is always sort of like a surprise, because the developer doesn't have this pressure on them to make the best game ever. You don't have a bunch of rabid fans screaming that it better be the best game ever. It's really, really good. I would have went with her as the main character in the game. And I know you tweeted me like you're gonna have 3 main characters in 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that bothers me. Like, BioWare's known for that. The first KOTOR, loved the character Revan.
Oh
The
yeah.
second one, you play as a completely different character. I wasn't sure why they changed it up. You know what I mean? I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Like I want to play as the same character, and it seemed like they were changing the characters. I didn't particularly like Cole from the first two Infamouses anyway, but
Why
I
did
didn't
you
even finish it.
Cole? Cole was Batman.
Yeah, I'm
Cole was,
Batman.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm Cole.
yes. I'm
Did
Cole.
you see that video? We totally had sex. You stabbed me. I stabbed you first.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't understand it, and it's like, and I'm fine with that. I mean, you play on everything. A lot of people don't understand that about you is that you play PS4, you play everything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, look, I prefer the Xbox. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah,
I really, really enjoy the Xbox. The problem is that I can't really have a discussion with people because right now it's like taboo. It's like telling
yeah.
people you're dating your sister or something.
Yeah,
Crazy. You know?
you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I'm hoping that one of these days that all passes. Apparently, like what's funny is you can see that, like, I was reading this article. It looks like Microsoft is about to finish up a $1.2 billion deal for Minecraft,
Right.
and people are already attacking the creator, saying he's a sellout.
This is
Which I
just
thought,
yeah.
I thought. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's funny because when you start something up or a business or make a game, don't you want it to be as successful as it can be?
Sure.
And I mean, this guy built something up. It's like taking on its own life. It has clothes, it has Legos, it has the possibility to be a theme park, a movie, a show.
Yeah.
It has the possibility to do all this stuff, and he sold it and made $1.2 billion off of 8-bit blocks and building things in a game.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
I don't think that's a sellout. I think that's just like somebody that calls a band that makes it big a sellout. I disagree with that. The reason why you want to make it big, the bigger you are, the more people hear your music. And if you're in music, you want people to hear your music. So
This is how and it's not everybody, but this is why I get so frustrated with. That's why I don't have my YouTube. I don't really do Twitter that much. I'll do the podcast because I like talking to everybody. But as soon as the Minecraft thing was announced, everybody, oh, Minecraft's dead already. Minecraft made its money. What's the deal with Minecraft? Okay, it's not so much a deal for a one game called Minecraft. Okay?
yeah,
There's so much. I mean, just last 2013, right? The total operating revenue of that company, Mojang, was $2.03 billion. Okay, that's not just Minecraft. Okay, that's everything to do with marketing. That's everything to do with the licensings that they have. Okay, I mean, imagine the movie, imagine the Legos, imagine the sequel, right?
yeah,
All of that stuff. I mean, I don't understand why it's such a bad deal. I mean, I always
yeah.
I
Imagine,
always try and put myself in the shoes of the people complaining. Imagine if, like, oh, I love Company Y. Imagine if Company Y bought Minecraft. They'd be jumping up and down, wouldn't they?
yeah, like say Nintendo or like, yeah, I agree, like Nintendo or Sony or
It's
whatever.
yeah,
The-
it's a great deal. I don't like Minecraft.
I don't either. That's the funny thing. Like, I don't like it. I'm not. It's not my thing. But I see it as a standpoint from this. There's a couple of reasons why people hate on it. They're like, why didn't Microsoft invest that into buying this other studio? And I have to point out, it's not Xbox division buying this. This is a CEO type decision.
Yeah,
And
I
it,
mean,
it could have something to do with, hey, buy Windows 9, get Minecraft installed on every one. Surface Pro, Minecraft installed on every one. Buy one of these Windows phones or whatever they're called now,
it's
Minecraft installed.
it's much more to do with mobile and licensing than it is gaming. Even though
Yes.
Minecraft is a big game, it's much more to do with mobile and licensing. People forget that Microsoft isn't just a games company. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want to make money doing whatever they can, and that's one of those things that has taken a mind of its own. You know what I mean? Everybody knows and has heard of Minecraft, even if you're not a hardcore gamer. Yes, there's hardcore gamers that like it,
I don't get
but
it.
yeah, I don't get it either. Like to me, I never really got into it much. Like I played it on 360, and it's okay for what it is. But I think that a lot of people are into that, and let's say they put a sequel out on PC and Xbox platforms only. I think that's going to be huge because Minecraft sold 13 or 14 million on the Xbox 360, and it's in the top 5 right now for NPDs still on
Yeah,
360.
it's so crazy on the 360. I couldn't believe
Yeah,
it.
and a lot of people are like, why is Microsoft worrying about a one-timed exclusive with Minecraft? Well, there you go. They gave you 14 million reasons why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They kept that off other platforms for a year, and you know what I mean. And eventually, all the copies of that version that sell on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, whatever,
hmm
are going to go to Microsoft.
Yeah, I think they'll leave it. I think they'll leave it on those
The
platforms.
first one they will for sure. I don't see if they do a sequel. I don't see that going on other platforms.
You know what they're going to
Um,
do? Like I said, mobile. They're going to proliferate Minecraft across Windows devices, right? And
yeah,
I can almost, I mean, I don't want to say almost guarantee, but there's going to be an iOS and an Android version somewhere down the line because
yeah,
there's
obviously.
billions of dollars to make there. And
Hey,
much,
they're making a lot of money off Microsoft Office on iOS.
yeah. As far as keeping it on a PlayStation platform, I don't know. I think the first one, yes. The second one, maybe. But if they put it out on Windows, iOS, Android, then I don't think they need to. But it's much more to do. It's so funny when they said, they're buying Mojang. Oh, why would you buy Minecraft? It's not just Minecraft.
Yeah.
The game made all its money. I love when I hear that. The game made all its money. It's over. Really? It's over? I mean, they just released it for PS4 and Xbox One, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many
Uh,
copies did they sell just there alone?
well, it crashed PlayStation Network, so obviously
Lots of people bought it. Right.
lots of people bought it. Actually, they did a damn good deal. If you had it on 360 or PS3, it was only $5 to upgrade.
These are the same people that say Call of Duty sucks, and then every year, right? What's the
Yeah.
number one selling game on both
Call
platforms?
of and I'll tell you this: if you look at the MPDs, Call of Duty, Ghosts, and Minecraft are still in the top 5 on MPD.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that is crazy. I mean,
yeah,
just to me, that is unbelievable. And even though people hate on it, I think people just like to hate on things because that's, like a lot of people hate on the top sports team.
yeah,
This used to be a thing back in the day. Like, people used to hate the Chicago Bulls because they were the best back in the 90s. People hated on the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s because they were the best. People hate on LeBron James right now because he's the best. And I'm not even a big basketball fan anymore, but I know people hate him just because he's probably the best. You know what I mean? So I think that that's just human nature to hate on things, and especially with the internet and the anonymous aspects of it,
yeah.
I feel like it makes it all the easier to hate, and I think it's kind of misplaced. Because I think Microsoft is doing a lot of good moves right now. Like we were talking about that new update.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
great.
wow.
Yeah, the dashboard update is great.
Yeah, you can't even express it because I didn't realize that so many people weren't in the preview,
Me
right?
neither.
And a lot of people like they heard that podcast. Like you don't realize how many people hear the podcast until they heard me offer to give out invites to the beta,
Yeah,
right? And then all of a sudden I get 100 messages a day saying, "Hey, can you say?" And I sent out a bunch. Like, but this is the thing: it's not me sending them an invite. I request it, and then they might get accepted for the beta. That doesn't mean they will for sure.
right.
So I did my best to try to do that, but man, it's great. I have a lot of like what I do is I copy over copies of The Simpsons, like I buy the DVDs and I have for years,
Yeah,
copy them over to my computer and store them in my hard drive so that I can stream them. I used to do that to 360. That way I don't have to switch out DVDs and shit. I do that with my movie collection because digital is easier to do that with.
yeah, yeah,
So what they did was the DLNA stuff, right? Now with this latest update, you can stream from your server, from your PC, straight to the Xbox One, which is brilliant.
Isn't it?
As
Is
much
it? Is it? Is it DLNA or XLNA?
It's DLNA.
DLNA? Okay.
Yeah. So you can do that, and you can also do the USB stick and do it. And I was apparently one of the few that had this survey about the Upload Studio. They're talking about
I did get
increasing the
that. I
yeah.
did get that. I didn't know if I was supposed to talk about that or not, though.
Yeah, like I did because there's not really I did a video on it because a lot of people didn't know this. Like I'm surprised. No sites covered it, no nothing. And I'm like, hey, here's an opportunity for me to come out and say, hey, these are the things Microsoft has cooking for Upload Studio. They're obviously not going to just stand pat with it.
Yeah.
So record that could be longer. Game DVR time can be longer. Um, background you'll be able to use hopefully Upload
Yeah.
Studio in the background because that's a pain in the ass.
And
Um,
that blue screen thing? Did you?
yeah, the green
Yeah.
screen, like, yeah, if you
Yeah.
use Connect or whatever, being able to do that, that was a lot of people didn't believe me, but you seen that question in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, about the green screen stuff. Yeah, like you could do that if you're a YouTuber or aspiring YouTuber and you can get green screen effects. It's super easy to do.
Yeah.
Um, there were more options. What I really want, which sounds stupid, is the ability to take the clips, put them on a flash drive, and then put them on my PC because my upload speed is so shitty. It takes me a long time to upload a 5-minute clip to upload or to OneDrive, right? If I could just export that to a USB drive, put it in my PC, then I could save clips at a better rate. If they allowed 10, 15-minute clips as well, I could do a lot more Let's Plays. I could do a lot more things a lot easier,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things on the horizon. I really want that damn photo, that photo mode. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
I'm addicted to that thing, man.
I
That's just
know I always see your PS4 shares, man. I'm like, damn.
yeah. It's just that's a really that's the kind of feature that sort of it like drives a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where you can see those pics and you can actually see them. They look good. They're not like I took a picture of my Destiny character with my cell phone. It's just not going to look good. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But that's a great feature. And
You know what I did? Like I kind of cheat when I take screenshots because what I do is if I see a good scene, and it's a pain in the ass to do it this way on Xbox One, I'll admit. But if you have Smart Glass and now you can like play the clips,
oh, I
you
didn't
can
even
play
think of that.
you can play the clips on
And
your
take a
phone.
picture.
And then you can take a screenshot with your phone and then upload it. That's how I do it because mine's all connected to OneDrive anyway. So that's
Oh,
how I always take such good looking clips. People always ask me, they're like, how do you get such good screenshots with your phone? And I'm like, I don't crop it with a phone or anything. What happens is I'm playing
oh,
a clip, I see a scene that I like, I stop it there, and then I just take the picture with the Smart Glass app, and it works really well, but it's
I'm
kind of
doing
a pain
that
in the ass.
tonight. Yeah, I'm doing that
Yeah.
tonight. Oh, I didn't even
Like
think
the,
of that.
yeah, that works out much better. Like it looks beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Microsoft could do themselves a favor by implementing that because a lot of people think their games look shitty.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know. There's nothing. I can't really. There's nothing you could do about that PR crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They had the wrong people at the wrong time. There's nothing you can do about it. It's over. You know,
yeah. Don Matrick didn't do anybody any favors on his way out.
yeah, right. He's not doing he's not doing Zynga any favors either on his way in.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should have taught him to like maybe go in, uh, go into the actual place that you work at and stop working from home and be so disconnected. I couldn't believe that when I read that.
Yeah,
Like he canceled so many things.
that happens a
Um,
lot. That happens a lot
he
though.
he closed down Ensemble Studios after the Halo. What the hell was that? The Halo Wars became the best-selling,
Art,
best-reviewed
yeah,
RTS on the console.
yeah.
How do you close down that studio after that? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, did you see that Gears of War RTS leaked footage?
Yes,
What
yeah.
did you think of it?
Well, I'm not really an RTS fan. I used to play them, when they were new,
Yeah.
a long time ago.
In like the 90s and stuff, I used to play on PC actually, like the little army ones and stuff. I
Yeah,
kind of like them.
but I don't know. Do you think it would work, Gears of War?
You know what? I thought an RTS would work well with Connect. I actually liked that. Like obviously they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah,
But it looked like a good little RTS Connect game to me. Like it didn't look bad. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this looks stupid" or whatever. But to me, uh, that would have worked well. I mean, I don't want to see it now, or maybe as an arcade game or something. But
Yeah,
RTSs are one of the games that I feel like would work really well with Kinect. Obviously, that's not a thing they're really focusing on right now. Although that Dance Central game works really well with it. Um, I just
yeah.
think I think that it was interesting that we get to see all these leaked stuff. I mean, who's leaking all this stuff?
I think once they took that Connect out of the box, a lot of that stuff that they had planned sort of kind of dropped off the radar. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if everybody can't take advantage of it, then nobody can take advantage of it. So
Hey, did you see the new Xbox 360 bundles they're coming out with?
yeah, I couldn't like Jesus. What's it? 9 years now, and then you get the Walmart's getting the exclusive blue one for the
Yeah, the blue,
holidays.
and that one looks pretty damn cool.
It
It's
does
got
look
a
good.
500 gig hard drive, 249. It comes with a couple of games. I think they're Call of Duty games, one of them or something, which is pretty popular because Xbox is known for that, and Xbox Live. It's like 9 years. I mean, a lot of people talked up the PS2 because it lasted a long time, and a lot of
Mhm.
people also thought that Microsoft would drop support on the 360 right away.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the criticism is they're going to drop support, and then when they don't drop support, the criticism is, well, they're leaning on the 360 because the Xbox One isn't doing well. So
Yeah,
you can't win. You just have to ignore that crap. It's amazing. It really is that people are buying last gen consoles in the numbers that they are still.
yeah, I mean, they really are. It's like, I'm still waiting on that $99 one. I think I might buy my mom one when
Yeah,
it
that's
drops down to that price.
crazy.
Just because she, like, she likes. I bought her a a couple years ago, but she doesn't like the waggle controls and stuff.
Hmm.
And I could always loan her any games that I have because I got like hundreds of them. So,
Yeah,
um, you know, but that's neither here nor there. I think that the console and the controller look awesome, like
right.
that blue with the green around it or whatever. And 249 is a good deal, but I'm still waiting on like the $99 4 gig, and I know that's going to come out soon. Um, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like, there's so many things people forget about when they like this whole generation that it's just PS4, Xbox One, right? The Wii U doesn't even exist anymore. It's PS4, Xbox One. PS4 is 10 million, Xbox One's 5 million, Xbox One loses, right? People are forgetting. Both of these consoles have bigger brothers that are still throwing money into the house, the PS3 and the Xbox 360. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
they're both almost what 90 million now, or
yeah, I
85
think.
million. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I think the Xbox 360 was at
crazy.
like 85 million or something like that. That's crazy numbers.
Right.
I'm not
No,
sure.
nobody's going in. Nobody's going anywhere. There's tons of money coming in. It just what's amazing is that we haven't really been pushed yet to get next gen. Well, I keep saying next gen, this gen consoles.
Yeah, I
Destiny
think
was
that.
supposed to be that game. Destiny's the game, right? But it's really not.
Yeah, Titanfall was the game, but then that came
Yeah.
out on last gen too. It's like uh, Destiny, even the Call of Duty will get a port, and it's not like these are going to be shit ports. They're basically going to be the same kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And even last gen gets an exclusive Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Did you see the 11-minute demo that's up on the dashboard today on Xbox One?
Which game was it?
Assassin's Creed Unity.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, the developer plays. It's the Xbox One version. It's an 11-minute demo. My God, does that game look great?
Yeah, I mean, the game looks phenomenal. It's like I really like I like the co-op stuff. If it's an online kind of thing.
Hmm.
Again, it kind of boggles my mind that we're moving more towards online, and people seem to like complain about it. It's like people are like flipping out about this browser stuff. Like, oh, Microsoft is killing the Xbox One because they're going to allow you to play games in your browser. But wasn't everybody complaining that you would need a constant internet connection for this stuff? So like the kind of double standards and stuff is a bit annoying, um, to say the least. But I think that what I like what all the companies are doing in one way or another. So far PS4 hasn't hit the mark for me to want one.
Hmm.
But it's not like, and I hate a lot of their fan base. Although I have met some that are cool. Um, you know, I just think that with what I do as an entertainer, I get a lot of I attract a lot of the assholes and idiots. So you know, that's just the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure not all of them are that bad, and they're a bad representation of probably what the majority is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you like PlayStation as well. I know people that do,
Mm.
um, and that's just kind of unfortunate that there's so many bad apples that are on the social networks and the sites and things like that. Like, we've both followed someone on Twitter who's an Xbox fan who will sit there and post NeoGAF and for G articles. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
know it's crazy.
I'm like, and I've said the same thing. I'm like, hey man, you're spreading these around, even if you're laughing at it because it's funny. People are still gonna go to that. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like they're
right.
gonna check it out. It's like one of the things that I seen was somebody was like, oh look at this NeoGAF thread. Because Digital Foundry said Destiny looks the same on both consoles, and then look at the reactions from the people in NeoGAF. Well, of course, the reactions from the people in NeoGAF are going to be like, oh, they underutilized the PS4, obviously, since they're both the same. They must have been
Right.
paid or
So,
underutilized it, or
like Destiny could have been 1440p, right? On the
yeah,
yeah, it's just look, I like the Xbox better. I do. I always have liked the Xbox brand, right? But I don't need to change anybody's mind. Like I don't need to argue with somebody. I don't need to defend it. There's nothing to defend. I like it.
yeah,
Period. If you don't like that, if somebody doesn't like that, that's fine. If somebody wants to tweet me and tell me I'm an idiot, that's fine. I don't
yeah.
care.
I remember when people were telling you the GPU was dog shit.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't care. For me, if dog shit looks like this, then I like dog shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing.
I completely agree. Like
It's just how I am. Yeah.
I never once really cared about any of the stuff that a lot of the people cared about. This generation for me was going to be all about the new experiences, and I wasn't interested in just better graphics. I wanted better AI, bigger worlds, less load times. Those are the things that I really could. That was next gen to me. The better graphics was a given, which the Xbox One has. It's unfortunate that you know
You know.
so many people equate graphics and resolution, and it was such a big deal this generation. It's kind of bothersome, but
Well, I
you
mean
know,
that's why games like the one thing Destiny does is show you that you know big open world. I hate to use the word open world because Destiny is an open world, but just when you're in the level, there's so much in the level. There's so much detail packed into the level. The frame rate's high, and it's still 1080p.
yeah, it's VSync, so there's no problem with the frame rate at all. It's locked at like
Right.
30, and there's no screen tearing. Like a lot of times you've noticed on some of the 1080p games, like Spider-Man per se. Um,
Speederman.
yeah, Spider-Man 2. It's apparently has a lot of like tear and stuff like that. That's
It's
because
awful. Oh.
yeah, you know,
But I mean,
um,
like Destiny, and even like now, like when you look at Assassin's Creed, if you watch that 11-minute demo, the world is so huge, and this isn't a world with invisible walls in it. I mean, when you're on the top of a roof and you're looking at a cathedral a mile away, that's rendered in engine. You can walk to that cathedral and climb it. That game is in 1080p on both systems. So this whole 1080p thing is starting to lose traction simply because games are coming out that are in 1080p. The next thing now obviously is going to be, well, like you said, if it's both in 1080p, then obviously they're underutilizing. But that's happens every gen. There's always another excuse to argue. That's why I leave that stuff at the door. You know
yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah, it was so ridiculous. I mean, last generation, like I didn't even know much about like resolution. I guess towards the end, people were talking about it a little bit, but people would just be like, "Oh, the PS3 version." PlayStation fans were like, "The PlayStation version 3 version just looks better because it's
yeah,
more powerful." And then going back, now I realize that that was not the case, and that the Xbox 360, despite being less powerful, pretty much had the superior version, but that didn't stop the PS3 people from buying it on PS3 and enjoying it on PS3.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't as big a deal, and I feel like it still shouldn't be as big a deal because Xbox One game owners aren't getting, you know, we aren't getting the short end of a stick at all because we're enjoying it. Even if a game is slightly better looking on PS4, if you don't have both running side by side with this and that to decode it or whatever, you're not going to notice, and the game's still going to look good to you. You know what I'm saying? Assassin's Creed 4 was 900p on Xbox One and looked beautiful to me on my Xbox One.
uh-huh.
You
When
know?
when you go to E when you go to E3 and they announce games on stage, and people look at the games. They actually look at them with their eyes, and they say, that game looks good. There's no frame rate counter on the screen, and there's no resolution number flashing up on the screen. They look at the game and they say, "Wow, that game looked really good," right?
Yeah.
I mean, that happens at all these trade shows. So if the game looks good at these trade shows, how come when the game's released, it looks the same, but when this number comes out, we have to argue about it. That's the issue.
Yeah,
So
well, remember at E3 we did it live. We covered it live with Next
yeah,
Gen and Showstopper, and we kind of made a joke. We were like, "Well, we're not sure if the game looks good yet because we don't know the resolution." You know what
yeah,
I mean? It's like that's the way you have to do it. Is just say, "Hey, I'm not sure um, of the resolution," which is just kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? I mean, if you look at The Witcher 3, that game looks brilliant.
and
I
the
defy.
developer has said that they're pushing for next gen effects and next gen gameplay, and that does not mean resolution. So I don't think that either PS4 or Xbox One is going to be 1080p for
And
The
that
Witcher.
won't matter one bit to me.
Absolutely not,
You
because if you
know,
read what the developer said, when they demoed it to one of to the person being interviewed, I forget his name. He said there was a scene where you walk into a bar and it's packed with people, and he cast a spell that pushed a person away from him, and every object in the bar, the glasses, the people's hats, everything reacted as it would in the real world with physics. I mean, that takes a tremendous amount of CPU usage. That's next gen. You know, if you're going to give me one cup that tips over and make it 1080p, I don't want it. Give me all those effects. Give me all that
yeah,
stuff.
that's what I like too, man. I like the anti-aliasing and
Right.
and I would rather. I'm more of a frames per second guy than a resolution guy, to be honest with you. That was one of my problems with Destiny was it feels kind of slow. If you play Battlefield 4, I'm just talking even the campaign. If you play Call of Duty Ghosts, if you play Titanfall, those are fast moving shooters, right? And then you go and play Destiny, and it's kind of slow moving. Like the campaign is fine for that, but the multiplayer in particular, at 30 frames per second, doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I was going to say like
Um,
a campaign is fine if you're paying attention to story. If there's stuff going on, then 30 frames is fine. But um, I'm not a big multiplayer guy, but I know a lot of people say multiplayer has to be 60. You know.
yeah. Well, to me, especially like this generation for like a first-person shooter, specifically, like, because it's in your perspective, right? Like, if you watch, did you watch the Halo 3 demo? They did a little demo of
Hmm.
it, the new one. You can just tell how smooth it moves much quicker
Hmm.
now at
Hmm.
60, right? You can tell that.
Yeah.
To me, that's a big difference for a shooter. Like, that's why I'm excited for Halo 5 because it's going to be the first Halo game that's native that from the beginning, 60 frames per second. Um,
Now, is that just the multiplayer that's 60 frames, or is it the single player as well?
That was the single player.
For Halo 5, we're talking about, right?
Oh, Halo 5. Yeah, it's supposed to be, I think the whole thing is supposed to be 60 frames per second.
Okay.
Thankfully, you know what I mean? Like, that makes a lot of difference for that because Halo always felt a little slow to me as well. And then when you look back at Bungie's work, they've never done anything more than 30 frames per second.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not me hating on Bungie. Like, I thought ODST was good for what it was, like an expansion. Reach, I like the story of Reach, but the online was bad in my opinion, because they had all these like these
Yeah.
powers and stuff like shield power. It was just I didn't like that jetpacks. I felt like it wasn't needed. They brought sprint to it, which a lot of people didn't really like. Um, you know,
I like when people said, about Halo 4, change everything but make it the same, you know?
yeah, exactly. Like I see people complain about Halo 4 all the time. It was my favorite one. I liked what they did. They played very they were very safe with that game. I thought.
Well, sure, they
Um,
had to be. They had to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I felt like it didn't really pay off for them that well. But they've already gone out and said, "Hey, Halo 5 multiplayer is going to be a lot like Halo 2, which was everybody's favorite as far as I can tell."
Well, when you say it didn't pay off for them, Halo 4, I mean, that sold like, I think,
Yeah, it
12
sold
million
it
or
sold
something like
really
that.
well, like
Yeah.
10, 12 million, something like that. But a lot of people would bring up the fact that the online community didn't last as long as previous Halo games.
Hmm. Okay.
Which there's a lot of things that attribute to that. I mean, a new generation started.
Yeah.
Obviously people aren't going to stay on the old hardware forever. Like I loved Halo 4 online, but I'm not going to go back and play it,
Right.
you know.
I'm,
So I
I'm
think
I love having the collection out though because I'll definitely play the story over again, and I'll definitely play co-op in the story. You know,
yeah, and I'm definitely eager to play some of the Halo 2 stuff online. I haven't played that stuff in 10 years online.
that's going to be popular online.
Yeah, I mean that's why they went and remade it all, and it looks great, and you can
Yeah.
tell that that's going to be good. And the thing is, Microsoft has been very open with and 343 with, hey, we're going back to our arena shooter roots. That's why we're giving you so many maps, and they're all small arena maps in the beta, right?
Yeah.
So nobody's going to go into that with any kind of things. And this is the thing, like I talked about this the other day. There was this video that said Halo 3 came out 2 years into the life cycle of the 360. At that time, 2 years in, the 360 was only at 5 million units sold.
Hmm.
Halo 3 was a system seller. Halo 3 sold like hotcakes. We're at less than a year in, and the Xbox One is over 5 million. It's going to be 2 years in almost before we get Halo 5. So I believe that Halo 5 is going to do for the Xbox One what Halo 3 did for the 360. It's the perfect timing, in my opinion, and I think that the Master Chief Collection and going back to their roots is going to help pay off a lot for them because a lot of people, even if they were oh fuck Microsoft. They wanted to do DRM and this and that. They're gonna see Halo 5, and if they were Halo fans, they're gonna be like, damn, you know what I mean? It's gonna come back down to the gaming like it should.
Hmm. Well, I mean,
Because obviously, if people hated companies for their intentions, then nobody would be having a PlayStation 4 now because they would have all got pissed off at Sony's moves with the PlayStation 3. So obviously, intentions can be forgiven. So hopefully, people realize that. You know what I mean? True. It's true.
yeah,
Sony, we all know, did blundered out of the gate with the PlayStation 3, and obviously the PlayStation 4 is successful. So people obviously forgave at some point.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Every generation's so different. Like what happens last gen, you would think would apply this gen, but it just doesn't. People are. It just seemed. I don't know, man. It's a strange gen. It's a gen. This is like the PR gen. This is the gen of somebody's going to tell you what you're supposed to think, and then you're supposed to just line up in your respective camp. That's this gen. It's odd. It really is. It's like just like I was talking to somebody and I was on Twitter and they were saying something that I've heard we were talking about, but they were like, I said, oh, I got Destiny. Who wants to play? The first question isn't when do you want to play or what do you think of it. The first question is, well, what system did you get it on?
Yeah.
With that question mark, and that's not really a question. That's answer it the way I want you to answer it, or I'm going to attack you.
Yeah, exactly. I
You know,
mean,
it's
for
strange.
me, yeah, for me, I didn't care, and I feel like again, going back to Destiny, which has been pretty much the topic for most of this, is I feel like there is a little bit of the defense force because, and I'll say this, I'm kind of disappointed that Xbox fans seem to have went on Metacritic and lambasted the PS4 version of Destiny.
Yeah,
I felt
that's
like,
ridiculous.
yeah,
That's the
the,
problem with Metacritic. Metacritic should have took care of that a long time ago. You know,
yeah.
but they want those hits and they want that ad revenue, so they let these idiots go in there and give a game a zero, like an hour after the game came out. You
Yeah,
know?
it's got right now. I'm looking at the PS4 version has 242 negative reviews, which are like 4 and under.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of zeros. How the hell? Look, Destiny isn't the greatest game, but
it's not a zero.
yeah, from the standpoint of it works, it's fluid,
Hmm.
it controls well. You can have fun with it. It just doesn't have a great story or characters, and there's some problems. But there's no way it's a zero,
No.
and I'm disappointed in the fact. I just like I was disappointed, and I'll be disappointed when the Sony fans are probably going to give Sunset Overdrive a negative mark. You know what I mean? Without playing it, and just like they do every single Call of Duty game you see has a ton of negative.
Yeah, but
Um,
that Metacritic user review doesn't do anything. It's the review on the left side of the actual gaming sites that you look at. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
what's the Metacritic for the actual sites? Was it 74?
74 right now on
Right.
PS4, and that's with 17. reviews, which 74 is in the yellow for
Yeah,
it's not the positive, it's more mixed, kind of
yeah,
mixed. The Xbox One only has two reviews for it, and that's sitting at it doesn't even have
yeah.
what it
There's
is
not
because
enough.
two isn't enough. But official Xbox Magazine UK gave it an 80, and
Yeah,
Xbox 360 Achievements gave it a 75.
yeah. That's where I'm at. 7.5 to an 8.
Yeah, you can. It would fall between probably seven, like 6.5, 7.5 so far for me. Um, if I had to just kind of be pushed for that or whatever. And even on the Xbox One, there's 79 negative reviews, which are four and under.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah, these are
so
these are these are quote unquote gamers.
yeah, I mean, if you're a gamer, just I don't know, just it seems like you should just game, I guess. I mean, look, I'm a gamer. I'm not going to threaten Bungie or Activision or anybody over a game because I felt a little bit misled by this game. Um, but I feel like it was a little bit of a letdown as far as this generation. And so far, I was looking back at my 360 launch year games, and man, was that really a great launch year for a console. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Just like, wow. Like,
And
I'm
you,
just
and you
looking at the games.
you know what's funny? My favorite launch game was Cameo.
You
And
know what? That game is amazing. I
and
did a review for
yeah,
that within the last year, and people were like, "What is this game?" I'm like, "You can get it for like $4 now."
and that got
One of the
blasted in the reviews. They destroyed
It
that game,
did. It
and
did.
I
It
thought it was
was
great.
oh, it was like you don't see there's that it's like a platformer and you can
Yeah.
change yeah, it was amazing. That was one of the first games I bought.
Yep.
And that was a pretty good rare game, I thought. And it actually sold pretty well. And they were actually Don Matrick, I believe, canceled the sequel.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think that yeah, I think that it's interesting. Uh, Definitely, and yeah, that's one of the games that I like. But it was so many games. Like Saints Row was first year, Dead or Alive 3, Perfect Dark Zero, Call of Duty 2, Condemned. Oh, what the
I
hell was
love
that one?
Condemned too.
Elder Scrolls. What was that? Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yes.
That game came out in 2005 on Xbox 360.
Yeah, that
I
was an
mean, there was
amazing.
an Elder Scrolls game in 2005 on the Xbox 360. That console, within the first year, Gears of War, Forza 2, Project Gotham Racing 3, it had one of the best lineups in the first year I've ever seen in my life. And so I guess in comparison, I'm not as impressed with this gen. It's not just the Xbox One; it's the generation as a whole. Um, I feel like they're a little bit slow out of the gate. I mean, there's some interesting experiences for sure, but a big game, I guess, another disappointment for me is Destiny. It's like I was looking forward to this game, and now it's like, oh, I'm on to the next one. I know Forza Horizon 2 is going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's going to be great.
yeah, I'm excited for it. The demo comes out next week.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know. After playing the beta for Destiny, I might not get the demo because I might want to just be surprised. I don't want to have to play through 3 hours of the same shit.
that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
might not download the demo. I'm just because I would rather be surprised.
yeah, that's
Because I
actually a good
think,
idea.
yeah, like if you're on the fence and you maybe want to check it out, then I highly suggest getting the demo. But for me, I think I'm just going to be surprised because I literally 3 hours I played through the beta, and it took me 3 hours to play through that much of it again in the actual game. Um, So yeah, I definitely think that I'm probably not going to download the demo, but I think that people should if they're on the fence. But I also implore you guys to check out the recent. Did you see the launch trailer?
Yes.
Man, that's impressive. Like they did a. You're racing trains and planes and
You know what I
man,
you know
just
what I really like the off-road stuff that they showed.
yeah, like you can go off road with it. Like you don't have to take the trail given in a race or anything. And
And I like the fact that they put on the screen the whole time, like, P.S. This is all Xbox One in-game footage.
yeah, people actually screen cap the stuff from inside the car, like racing the train and stuff. Man, it looked brilliant. The weather and the night stuff. I think it looks really really good. I'm impressed as hell with the game. I'm excited for these experiences. I have a little bit of a bad taste right now from some of these quote unquote huge exciting games that we were supposed to get, and so far,
Yeah, I think first party is going to deliver what fans want. When you have a really big third-party game and it's talking about being the best thing ever, there's really nothing but disappointment that you can expect. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think these first-party games, like, I don't think, like, as a fan, I know I'm going to like Sunset Overdrive. I know I'm going to like Forza. Halo, I'm going to like it no matter what. I mean, they could put, Laverne and Shirley in Halo, and I would love it.
Yeah, well, it's like me and you were joking when the ghost was taking forever to unlock the fucking doors.
Yeah.
We were like, damn, man, Cortana would have had that shit unlocked 10 minutes ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that guy's voice is just a little bit annoying. I don't know. Maybe it's because Cortana is like this hot body or whatever, and a nice voice, and then you hear just this guy, and you know he's a midget from Game of Thrones, and he's just like, hey, we gotta.
He's, he's a midget from Game of Thrones.
He is. That's what he's from, dude.
Is that how he fits in your head?
Yeah, he's the midget for. Oh, he's the guy from Elf, the angry elf who beats up Will Ferrell. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, he's the elf in the suit that Will Ferrell calls him an elf, and then he jumps up on the table and kicks Will Ferrell's ass. That's him.
You know what? Speaking of Sunset Overdrive, I read the article that Ted Price talked about how it's a game, sort of like a throwback game to where games, were just about being crazy and fun. And
Yeah.
do you think that there are any gamers like that left, though?
Um,
That just want to have fun in the game, or do you think they're just going to like pick apart every little thing that they can about this game?
I actually think that it's going to get pretty fair shake.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Insomniac has not made a bad game.
Yeah, they're pretty good. A lot of people were like expecting, a lot of people throw out the thing that kind of the Xbox fans throwing out about Bungie. I don't think that like as far as I'm concerned, a lot of the PlayStation fans were a little bit jealous. Sony themselves came out, or Jack Tretton did, and said, "Hey, we were always jealous of Halo."
Yeah.
Clearly, Sony always tried to get their own Halo, and it never really worked out. They don't have that defining kind of sci-fi shooter. I think that's why they invested so much in Destiny. Even though it wasn't exclusive, and I think that that ended up is not going to pay off for them in the end.
You know what's interesting about Bungie, man? If you really look back at their history, they made the Marathon games, right, on the PC.
Yeah.
And then they made this game on the PlayStation 2 called Oni. I don't know if you remember it, but it was sort of like this anime inspired, like secret agent kung fu type game. It was called Oni, O-N-I, which is where the Office of Naval Intelligence and Halo comes from and all those little references. But then when they made that game on the PlayStation 2, didn't do too well. It was an American developer, and Sony just said, all right, right now, whatever, see you later. You know what I mean? And their next game was Halo. So, I mean, a little bit more attention, a little bit more help, and Halo could have been on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Sony gets his good like developer rapport with people, and they want to attack Microsoft for money hatting, Insomniac for Sunset Overdrive, and same thing with Titanfall. But it was Sony's lack of cooperation that cost them Titanfall and Sunset Overdrive.
Hey, I'm just glad I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited too, but hey, look at this. Insomniac Games doesn't own any of their IPs that they've created.
Yeah, that's got to hurt when you got Ratchet and Clank, you got Resistance.
You've got Spyro.
Spyro. I mean, that's rough.
Yeah, you don't own any of them, and Microsoft played ball and was like, "Hey, we're going to help you out. We're going to publish. We're going to help fund this game, and servers, and you're going to own the IP still." So I think that Microsoft doesn't get enough credit for stepping up to the plate with that. Titanfall, they help pay for some of that. The servers obviously are expensive. They play ball. Sony wouldn't give up the specs for their new console.
Well, yeah, that goes back to the whole misstep with the it's going to have 4 gigs of RAM in it. You know what I mean? That's why they didn't do that, because they wanted Microsoft to think that there were going to be 4 gigs of RAM. But as far as Insomniac, I mean, they made that really bad game Fuse.
Yeah, I don't even think that was bad. I actually kind of had fun with it.
I just think, that's the case of, again, they're not exclusive anymore, and they're trying to do something different, and it just gets hated by the same people who love them. I love Insomniac. If Insomniac was making games on, a checkerboard, I would check it out, because I know they make good games.
Yeah,
So
like I never had the hate for um I never had hate for Insomniac games. I have some of the Ratchet and Clank games. I have all three Resistance games. I have Fuse. So I was never hating on that the way that a lot of PlayStation fans like would hate on Bungie or Halo or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
Resistance didn't get any support. Why?
especially the third one, which was really good.
It's awesome,
Yeah, it was really good. I'm
and
I'm not
nobody
gonna
bought the
lie.
damn thing. Why would you
Yeah,
not buy it?
because they advertised it with Kevin Butler and doing like a move kind of thing. There was no gameplay shown. It was just really poorly advertised. Um,
Yeah, that was
that's one of Sony's faults, man. They just
was that the one where you went through the streets of Chicago? Was that 3?
I think so.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't sell better, but who knows? Hopefully, the community picks up Sunset Overdrive and has fun with it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna. I was thinking about doing a video calling out all the Xbox fans. Man, put your money where your mouth is. Go out there and support that damn game. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Is that
like
is that 4-player co-op online, or is that four
I
player?
think it's 4 versus 4.
Okay, cool. We got to do like a let's play.
Yeah, like I think it'll be interesting to do that. Like, did you hear about the there's actually going to be a decent season pass. You're going to get two actual story add-ons for the $20 season pass, along with like skins and weapons and stuff like that. So that might be one of the ones that I get just to help support the game.
Yeah.
Like like I did that with I think Dead Rising 3 and Rise. Because I wanted to support it, like when these things come out, you want to support it from the beginning,
Yeah.
and that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? I like to support these developers, and I think that that's a way to do it. A lot of people might complain it is optional though. So like for me, if it has campaign add-ons, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I like the campaign add-ons. It gives you something to do later on, so I'm excited for that aspect of it. But we've been going on for about an hour and a half, or slightly, yeah, right at an hour and a half. Damn, good stuff. Do you have any closing kind of thing you want to talk about, like Destiny? Your final thoughts on that or anything?
It's a pretty girl with not much upstairs. That's all. That's all it is.
Yeah,
You
she needs.
you could have fun with her for a while, but eventually you're gonna get bored when you got to have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. The game looks brilliant. From a technical standpoint, I guess, from a legal standpoint, uh, like it's not broken, but there's a lot of questionable things. Like there's no lobbies. Just kind of the recap. There's no lobby system. You have to play it with other people. If you play it by yourself, you're gonna just replay a lot of the same stuff till you level up.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't feel like standing there for an hour and a half and breakdancing with people.
Yeah, and it's like infinite respawn in enemies. It's the same enemies over and over again. Um, some of the level design is a little bit sketchy, to say the least. They don't really give you, I don't know, just a little bit misleading. There's not really a story. The characters don't talk. There's no real kind of character development or anything like that. You have the little midget guy talking a little bit throughout, but that's it. You don't even really care about it. We were joking around during the cutscenes because it didn't matter because the story was so bad anyway. So
Oh well, what are you gonna
we
do?
were, weren't we? I mean, we were playing it and we were like, "What's this? Who cares?" Because the story sucks.
Yeah, I was surprised that my character actually spoke at one point. I said, "Oh, hold on, she's talking." She's
Wait,
saying,
your character spoke?
yeah, one of the cutscenes, or right in the beginning when you go to the tower in the cutscene, and you see that big, what's that big mechanical thing, doing a circle, and the guy comes down the steps and talks to you, and she says a couple words. My character's a female, so she says a couple words.
Damn, man, I must have missed that part.
Yeah, strange, huh?
Yeah, like I don't know, like when you see, I was drawn in by the story. I like the whole that little thing that protects Earth or whatever. That intrigued me. Like, but I didn't realize that the part that you played in the beta is actually the beginning of the game, like the story and everything. Like I thought they'd go into more detail and things like that, and that just never happened. Like it feels a little bit rushed. Um, I don't know. Like I was hoping for a better story. So I mean.
Yeah,
It's
me too.
Bungie. It's Bungie. Look, Halo Reach might not have had the best online, but that story was fucking awesome.
Yes,
It
it
was like you
was.
had this Alamo type feel, and then at the end where you're the lone guy left and your
Oh, that was
visors,
awesome.
yeah, your visor's getting all cracked up as you're taking hits, and then
Yeah,
everybody dies. So that was like a real emotional, great story. You liked those characters. You cared about those characters. They when they died one by one, you were like, damn.
Exactly. And you know what? And at the end, when the Pillar of Autumn took off, you knew that the ship was the Pillar of Autumn, and
Yeah,
you knew who was in that ship, and you knew about it because they took the time to flesh the story out. That's why you keep coming back. That's how you
yeah.
build a franchise with single player. Is Destiny just feels like a big push towards multiplayer the whole time you're playing it. You know?
Yeah, yeah, and it's definitely not the MMO that they kind of hyped. It's
No,
something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Uh, like I know I named the title of this is Destiny the worst game of the new generation. It's not the worst game,
no.
but it's the biggest letdown for me personally of the generation so far, because this was the game that I had the highest expectation for. People were, Titanfall was great. I was excited for it. Watch Dogs, good games. But then people were like, wait till Destiny comes out. People will be like, Titanfall who and Watch Dogs who. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
but
then you,
it's a perfect example. The Destiny is a perfect example of why next gen is not about just graphics.
yeah, it's style with no substance.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got the looks and no personality, and it's soulless. And I can see why some people might have fun with it. You're goofing around with your friends, you're having a good time. We were having fun with it last night, even though we were talking about how bad it was. You were like, "Hey, man, this level design is dog shit," and
No,
we're sitting there laughing, because that's fun, but that's the social aspect. We're in there with Showstopper and Yomo Flow, and we're having a good time, kind of goofing around in the party chat. And so, yeah, but you can't confuse that fun and goofing around with the game being fun, because we're like, this is ridiculous,
yeah,
this level design and the character and the infinite respawn and all this kind of stuff. And oh, you can go and you went left last time, this time go right. It was like
yeah,
kind of ridiculous.
yeah.
So I think that's ultimately going to end up hurting the game. And here we go. We're going to go this whole weekend without getting any real reviews for this game, and that's going to be more days of sales. And the funny thing is, if you go inside GameStop or a store, you see a bunch of used copies of this game already.
Yeah, yeah. I heard that.
That's
I haven't been in GameStop. I try not to
that's
go in there.
not a good sign. Yeah, there's used copies on all fronts: 360, PS3, Xbox One, and a lot of PS4.
Hmm.
So I know it's not just Xbox guys that are just angry or whatever. I went into it excited. It's not an Xbox for Sony thing or a Microsoft for Sony thing. It's just a expectation thing with reality thing. It's just not doing. That's what it is for me. A lot of people won't believe that, but
Yeah,
that's just the truth. I mean, you were excited for it. I was excited for it. Maybe next gen and Showstoppers were the smarter ones by not getting it right
yeah.
away.
They might be. I spent
Yeah.
$120, man, for 2 games, and I
Yeah, damn.
doubly disappointed.
Hey, at least you got to play a little bit with Kinsey.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so far I played with you and YomoFlow, and then I played with my brother and a couple guys from my clan and stuff at different times, and I think I played with one of my subscribers. That's always kind of fun.
Cool. Did anybody ask any questions?
Hold on, let me see if anybody did ask any questions. I'll peruse this real quick. Let's see here.
Why do you guys hate Destiny?
I know. Let's see. Somebody asked, "Is there any official reviews for the game yet?"
Yes, Polygon
Um,
six. Polygon gave it a 6.
Giant Bomb gave it a
Bomb.
6, and
Yeah,
Escapist gave it a 6. So those are the three biggest that you would know, and they all gave them 6s.
yeah. It's about. I would say, to be fair, it's about a 7.5. And if you're pushing it, it's an 8. It's no higher than an 8 to me.
Yeah, I think it needs a story or something. You know what I'm saying? Especially to say, Titanfall's different. There's no story on that per se. It feels like there could be one there, like you're wondering what the hell's going on or whatever. But they're at least upfront about it, and it's just a multiplayer game. This game is supposed to have a story, and
I mean, I know it's there. I mean, it's just not. It's not doing enough to present it to you. I mean, I hate to keep going back to Halo. I'm doing it because it's Bungie. It's really not Bungie. They're a 343, but you play Halo 1, right? I mean, 2 hours in, you know who Master Chief is. You know who Spartans are. You know why they were created. You know who the Covenant are. You know what the different races of the Covenant are. You know what they believe in. You know what they worship. You know all this stuff. because it's written well and it's presented well, and it's just not there in Destiny.
Yeah, it's not. Um, oh, hey, Kendall Grant says, how do you feel about the X1 in his games? I
How
think
do
the
I
X1. Yeah, how do you feel about the X1 in his games?
how do I feel about the X1 and its games?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's not like a legitimate question. That's like a dig.
Well, I don't know. It just says, how do you feel about the X1 in his games? I don't know. I just,
Me personally, I love the Xbox One, and I love the games coming out on it.
yeah, I agree. I'll keep it real and say that I feel like the 360 probably had the much stronger lineup within the first year.
Yeah,
But then again, Microsoft dropped support of the Xbox pretty quick due to the company making the chips for the game
yeah.
discontinuing that. So they were kind of forced to do that.
That was Nvidia,
Um,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So they were kind of they had their hand kind of forced. So, but
Hmm.
yeah, I think that it's got some interesting experiences. If you're 100% on me and say, hey, is there real reason to upgrade to any of those consoles right now? And I would say if you don't have just money to waste, then there's not really a need to yet.
Hmm.
That's just being realistic. You know what I'm saying? Would you agree with that? I mean, unless you really want like have money to spend and burn, and you know what I'm saying, then do you think that there's 100% reason to upgrade from last gen right now?
If I didn't have the Xbox One, I would say no. But once I got it and I used it, it's kind of hard to go back to the 360. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously there's more games on the 360, but if you don't have a PlayStation or an Xbox, a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One right now, there's really no reason. Now, of course, you know, Forza and Master Chief Collection and Sunset Overdrive, and I mean those are reasons to buy one. Um, right now, though, it's a strange gen, isn't it? Isn't it? Just feels strange
it does. It feels very strange.
because there's so much hating and so much arguing, and there's really less. There's less talk about games, and there's more talk about like, why do you like this, which makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of car do you drive? Like, I don't drive the same car you drive. I mean, who
Yeah,
cares?
you know what? I feel like people wouldn't care that much. Like think of the fanboy version of this, right? Like I'm a Chevy guy, but if somebody
So
likes
am I.
Ford, yeah. But if somebody likes Ford, I'm not going to be like, hey, guess what? Chevy sold this many cars. How
Yeah,
many did Ford sell? I
yeah.
don't. Who cares?
Hey, man,
That's why a lot of people that
do you
expect me
know?
to do.
Do you know Ford? Do you know the Ford Mustang has a solid rear axle? That's shit.
That's dog shit, dude.
Chevys have independent rear suspensions.
Hell yeah, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
And it's like who cares? Like that's why people like expected me to do videos on Japanese sales and stuff. I'm like, dude,
I'm not
look,
Japanese.
yeah, I'm not Japanese. Not only that, but I don't have a shit ton of article or videos on sales for anything. Even going back, I did one video about I think Titanfall, and I used VG charts. And the reason why I did that was kind of tongue in cheek
Oh,
because everybody was throwing VG charts in my face as a legit source. So I was like, hey, I'm going to show them, and I knew that VG charts was wrong. And so I'm like, hey, VG Charts says that Titanfall slaps Infamous and PS4 and all this kind of shit, right? Just to show these people how stupid they were. This was months ago, I think in March, right? I don't do videos about numbers because I don't care, because you come to the realization that the number of consoles that the particular one that you prefer has nothing to do with the fun that you're going to have on the console or lack of fun. It's all about games. And the quicker people realize that, the better off everybody will be.
well, if it was about sales, then I would throw out all my Led Zeppelin albums and go buy Justin Bieber's entire one CD collection.
Yeah, I mean, baby. I mean, that's gold, right? Come on.
So look, it's about preference is fine. Talking to people that have the same interests as you is fine, but I could care less about somebody trying to tell me how I'm supposed to think and what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to play on. That's not going to happen.
A Neil Bone says, YouTuber Arsenal187 said there were noticeable frame rate drops on Xbox One. Have you had that problem?
On what game? Destiny?
Yeah,
Notice? Well,
I don't
I
know.
haven't. I'd be honest with you. I think it's one of the smoothest playing games
Yeah, I've
that I've.
not only has there been no frame rate drops, but Digital Foundry, who like I'm not a big Digital Foundry fan, but they
Yeah.
do that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That from a technical
if they were there, Digital Foundry would have found
Yeah,
them.
from a technical standpoint, that's what they do. Like it or not, like I don't always agree with doing the stuff that they do, like testing videos from a commercial or whatever, or unfinished products that they do and test them at E3 showings or whatever. I don't agree with that. But at the end of the day, they do the job. And they
Yeah,
said that it's VSync. It's locked at 30. There would be a problem, and this problem I noticed with people complaining about Titanfall and possibly frame rate issues. These are online only games. If
yeah,
you have a bad internet connection or a spike or a slowdown in your internet connection, it's going to feel like
yeah. It's not
a
the
frames per
hardware, right?
second drop. Yeah, it's not the actual game though.
You know,
That
it's
is,
funny though, man. It's just like Diablo, right? Diablo uh, dropped 8 frames at one point for 15 seconds on the Xbox One version, and I mean, if that's your idea of a win, God bless you. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, if you need to like take out a magnifying glass and study two screenshots to see which one looks better,
And
or
yeah,
if you
it's not
or if
there.
yeah, or if you have to look there and say, hey, this game was 37 frames per second for this amount of time, and the Xbox version dropped down to 33 frames for this amount of time, then there's no difference. It's just not. I mean, there could be any amount of difference. The hardware could have been hot. Uh, it could have been something with the disk. It could have been something with the internet. There's so many variables that we don't
You
know
know,
that it's not worth talking about.
like I said, man, I'm not into defending things. I don't think it needs to be defended. You know what I mean? If I'm going to defend something, then that's like admitting there's a problem. I don't have a problem with the Xbox One. I don't need to defend it. If somebody doesn't like that, that's fine. Go play something else.
Hey, yeah, I agree, man. I don't particularly care. I like it. Like people when they say that to me, they're like, "Oh, you're defending your console." It's like, do you not realize that I could buy a PS4 when I
Yeah,
wanted,
it's not my
anytime I want?
console.
Yeah,
Right,
anytime I want, I could buy one. It's not
right.
like I'm locked into this like some kind of lifetime contract. Oh no, I can't buy a PS4. Holy shit, I can get one anytime I want. And if they give me a reason, I'll get one. That's just my opinion of it.
Yeah,
There's no reason for me to buy it because you can only play one at a time, and it's like, you know,
I got you.
there's not really anything that I want to play. Third party stuff I can play on Xbox One just fine. Um, and the exclusives seem much on that console. So, Yomo Flow says he's looking forward to playing some Forza Horizon 2 with us.
Bingo. We got to get the car club together. Get the people, whoever's going to be in there on day one. We got to get it together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I know like people like my brother. You played some Titanfall with him before,
Mm-hmm.
Hellheimer. He's getting that, man. He's a big Horizon fan. He actually like he likes the Forza games, the motorsport games. He didn't like racing games before that.
Mm-hmm.
I bought him Forza Horizon on the 360 for Christmas the year it came out, and he literally like passed me up in hours played on that game. I think he put in like 150 hours. He got like almost all the gamer score on there. Like he just really enjoyed that game, so I know he's looking forward to that. And the only thing I was disappointed was they didn't do a hard case edition for that because they usually do. Like the last, I think Forza 3, Forza 4, Forza Horizon, and
Mm-hmm.
Forza 5 all did uh, steelbook case versions, and they didn't do it with Horizon 2. So
Yeah, I think I'm you know I'm Mr. Digital, man. So I'm just going to get it digitally.
yeah,
So much easier for me. I know people hate digital. I love the idea of coming home and saying I want that, pushing a button, and I have
yeah.
a
You don't. I
really good
see. It wouldn't
internet.
work like that for me. I push a button, and then 3 days later, I'd have it. So at the expense of not being able to watch Netflix or anything for a while.
I hear you.
Yeah. Let's see. Neil Bone also says, I think that game may be better as a Sony exclusive. Xbox guys were hoping for Halo. I feel that's why they're upset.
I don't know if you're hoping
I
for
wasn't
Halo.
expecting Halo because I wanted something different.
Yeah, I have
I thought it,
Halo.
yeah, I thought it looked kind of like Halo, but I was expecting a good story because they did a good story with Halo.
Yeah,
So that's what I expected. There's not a good story in Destiny, and if there is, I haven't found it yet.
yeah,
I'll agree that some of the cutscenes that we were experiencing yesterday, we were too busy kind of poking fun at the game to
yeah,
to pay attention.
yeah,
So, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where I'll probably go through there again, though, because the thing with Destiny is You have to play through the levels multiple times to level up to progress, and
Yeah.
you have friends because it only allows 3 people teams. And if you have more than 3 friends, and you like my brother gets home at work at 11 or whatever, and he has off days differently, so I'll go through parts of the game while he's at work, and then he'll want help, so I'll have to end up going back and helping him again anyway.
Yeah.
So
I definitely wasn't expecting Halo at all. I have
yeah, I wasn't
Halo.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I
was
wanted a new
expecting.
experience. Like,
Yeah.
this is the thing. Bungie wanted independence to do something that wasn't Halo. So why would I expect them to do Halo?
Right. And why
You
would
know
it?
what I mean?
Yeah. And why would some parts of the game feel like they were falling back on Halo mechanics? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I wasn't expecting Halo. I was expecting. Yeah, I don't. I mean, they almost. It's hard to put a finger on. I was expecting just a sense of being in a world and exploring it, and I'm not doing that. I'm just fighting through a level, and the story gets sprinkled in, and then I move on to the next level, and the next level is the same level, and I could turn right instead of left. It's just not enough for me.
Yeah.
That's all.
I agree. Like, you were pointing that out, and I agreed. Mike Rose says, hyped up for Killer Instinct season 2.
I'm not a fighting game fan, you know that. So
Yeah, you're not, but I am. Like, I had given up on fighting games because what happened was previous generations, a lot of people cheat. You know what I'm saying? They weren't server based; it was just host based, which is bad.
mhm.
You know. I'm excited because Killer Instinct has arcade modes. It has like a story mode now and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually excited because September, I think 20th or 23rd, they're releasing season 1 on disc, and it has some of the baddest ass artwork I've ever seen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get it. Like, I like buying the exclusives just for the artwork and because I like to collect the Microsoft stuff.
Right.
Um, and so, because I bought, like, on the 360, I think I bought over 120 exclusives. I'm not going to get into the whole console exclusive thing or whatever, but there's over that amount of exclusives that, as far as games are on consoles, are only on 360. There's more than that, but I tried to buy as many as I could, and I do the same with the Xbox One. I have all of them, so I want to buy that, even though I already have the digital version. I think I'm going to buy that just because it comes with TJ Combo too, who's a new character from season 2, but. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna buy that just strictly for it's only like $20, so
That's not bad.
yeah, it's not bad, and the artwork is pretty sick. I'm pretty impressed with that. Let's see. Oh, Irish chap says, let's hope the Division doesn't disappoint like Destiny. Uh,
Yeah, I, I don't know. There's some. I don't think that. From what I've seen of the division, it's not trying to be anything. It's playing to its strengths. You know what I mean? It's not
yeah.
trying to be. It's not like Destiny. We're going to be this fantastic experience, and it's a shooter at its core. The division is a tactical squad-based shooter. And from what I've seen in the gameplay, it plays to those strengths. It looks like a lot of fun. It's beautiful to boot.
Yeah.
So,
I think it looks interesting. You know what? And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it's more of an MMO than Destiny is. Like, people actually affect you in the world and can help each other or something along those lines a little bit more than Destiny. Like, um,
I
there
didn't know
are
that. Yeah.
yeah, there are people in, like, the most social Destiny feels is when you're in the hub.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty bad.
it reminds me of, God, that PlayStation Home where people just dance and act like an asshole. That's what it reminds me of. That's what the Destiny Hub
That's
reminds
so
me of.
bad. Yeah.
PlayStation Home, yeah. People sitting like out on the ledge or dancing.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. PlayStation Home, and that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I think
uh,
Sony would agree with you. They dropped that pretty quickly on the PS4.
it never left beta either
Yeah.
on PS3. It never
Yeah.
left beta. Let's see. King James says a lot of people often compare Destiny to Halo, but he thinks
Who?
it's more. I don't know.
No,
I have
I've
no
heard
idea.
nobody do that. I've heard nobody
Yeah, you
compare
know what?
that.
I heard somebody do that yesterday from the UK, like, and I had to tell him, I was like, no, there's not really anything to compare there other than some of the looks. But he says he thinks it's more like Borderlands than anything.
I could see that. I mean, Borderlands,
Borderlands has loot,
but even
and
Borderlands had a good story,
yeah, Borderlands had a damn good story, and it was funny and
and they
entertaining, and had good
right.
characters, and a lot of things that you know.
The
You
Destiny
know what
doesn't.
really to me is a bit weird too is there's a new Borderlands game coming on last gen consoles. Like, wouldn't that seem like it would be a hell of a thing to put on to put on the new
Yeah,
consoles.
it's probably just cost. It's there's such a large base, and the cost is probably a tenth of what it is on this current gen. So they're just trying to milk them for everything they can, man. That's probably what it is.
Uh, Kevin Burnett, he has kind of a loaded question. He says he's on the fence about which system to choose. He currently owns a PlayStation 3, but he wants to upgrade. He was going to get a PS4, but with the attacks and the online, he doesn't know. He says Xbox is starting to sound like the better console. With that being said, which would we recommend?
Well, here's my answer. Ready? I'm nobody. It's not my job to make a decision for you.
Yeah,
I know what I like, and you might not like what I like. Ultimately, you got to make up your own mind.
that's a loaded question because I like it and I recommend the Xbox, but I can't tell any one person what they should buy because
Exactly.
that's not my money.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I can sit there and say, okay, Xbox One for me, the reasons why I like it is because it seems to have the better online and the social aspects.
Mm-hmm.
They're updating it monthly. This is me why I like it. I'm not telling you
Right.
why you would like it or this guy, but I'm just saying it does monthly updates. They're listening. It has the exclusives that I like. They seem to be taking that kind of road for AAA and things like that.
Well,
Uh,
I would tell him to go get an Xbox One because the Xbox One is capable of creaminess. And, it, and the PlayStation 4 can't do that. There's creaminess in the games that you notice when you have an Xbox One. So go out and buy American.
Yeah, I think that it's yeah. You get hated on when you say that, right? But I think that that's an apt thing to say is,
But
hey, buy American. You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
the time we live in, man. People hate the country now. People hate everything about it. So
yeah,
that's
I
just the
like.
times we live in.
It's not perfect, but I still would rather live here than anywhere else. I'm just going to be honest, and that's not a knock on anyone or any other
Yeah,
place, but just for me, that's it. Yeah, I think that it's cool. Let's
yeah.
see.
You got to buy whatever. It's your money, man. You know.
Hey, YomoFlow, who we played Destiny with yesterday, he says he finished the game and he gives it a 6. Fun gameplay, nice environments, but disappointing story, really bad story, especially the ending.
Yeah.
So that's YomoFlow. He's our buddy. We play with him. He's a cool guy. He's got a loud kid who like cries a lot.
I know, man.
General Mike says, "Are you guys getting GTA 5? I'm not sure
Uh-uh.
if I am, but if Rockstar does an upgrade, I think I would eat. I would. The Jaggies on the last gen version were distracting as hell.
I know that I know that they are doing an upgrade, and I know that it's supposed to
They
look fantastic.
they released screenshots today, supposedly 1080p across the board.
Oh no! Don't tell me that crap.
Yeah, I mean,
We can't argue about the resolution now. What's going on? This is 3 games in a row now. I don't know about GTA. It's just like Destiny. There's not enough to do in the story. GTA, the story's really good, but there's so much to do outside of the story that you kind of get lost. So for me, I probably won't be picking it up, but I can't say that it's not going to be popular. And I think your mic cut out. It's all me, baby. Just me. Worrywart on Crap Gamers channel alone. Oh, this is great. I'm going to call a spade all by myself. Well, if you're not going to talk and your mic's out, we might as well end this podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll be on Sunday, I think 12 p.m. or 1 p.m., somewhere in between there. Should be the usual suspects. I think Mooch is supposed to join us. I'm not sure. That should be cool. Check it out. Thanks for listening, and game on, guys. Oh, this is awesome. I think I'm still live. Crap has a fantastic internet service, and his mics are second to none, which is why he cut out again. I think he has two Amish farmers in his yard. They ride a bicycle to power his internet, so you'll have to forgive him. Crap, are you there? Crap Gamer? Crap Gamer? Could you be there? Crap Gamer? Counselor? Oh well. All right, guys. Tune in next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Hello? Hey, War, you there? Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me, dude? Yeah. Can you hear me? Hey.